Now, Ninjago is an extremely successful show. It's been running for more than 10 years, the set line is extremely successful, and it's managed to keep fans throughout all these 10 years and gain new ones all throughout its journey. Now, when a show runs for so long, it tends to have some repetitiveness and glaring similarities, and it sometimes runs out of some fresh original concepts. Now, Ninjago is really good at keeping it fresh, but there are many instances where it just repeats something old, and then when they redo it, it gets a much worse reception from fans. So I'm going to be taking a look at many specific examples of this. Make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. And with having all that said, let's hop in. Now, Ninjago is technically 2 TV shows for some reason. Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu, which is seasons 1 to season 10, and New Ninjago, which is season 11 to the present. And the first season of each of these shows have glaring similarities. Rise of the Snakes and the Fire chapter. Very basic. The ninjas start off each of these being like really lazy, playing video games, just being really lazy, and Wu encouraging them to go back to their ninja lifestyle on their tiptoes. First glaring similarity. Second glaring similarity comes with the deep meshes of the storyline. First off, Kai's entire character development is based off his powers in both seasons. In Rise of the Snakes, he is worried about how everybody's getting his true potential before him, whether he's a worthless member of the team, and all that stuff, till he finally, at the end, realizes his worth and saves Lloyd and saves the Green Ninja and unlocks his true potential. So Kai's already learned this lesson. So what I don't feel really works is when they bring it back again, when Kai's powers get taken away from him, and he has to go through the same lesson that even though he may not be as powerful, he's still a valuable member to the team, when he saved all of them and all that stuff. And I just don't feel it works for a second time, since the impact isn't as significant as it was in the first one, and it's reusing concept. Second of all, one of my favorite concepts in all of Ninjago is looking back at Wu and Garmadon's past. So I'm okay with it being done in both seasons, obviously, but the way they did it was way too similar to each other. First of all, in the Rise of the Snakes, the villain, the Serpentine, were imprisoned by Wu and Garmadon many years ago during the Serpentine Wars, and they're coming back and fighting the ninja. The exact same thing happens in season 11, when you have the Sphera imprisoned by Wu and Garmadon, and she comes back and fighting the ninja. Not to get on a whole tangent of the Serpentine being overused, but you've probably already heard all of that by now. Secondly, main story point in both of them are weapons created by the first Spinjitzu master, the golden weapons in the scroll of Spinjitzu. This isn't really a bad reuse like some of the other ones, as they both have different key plot elements, and I just wanted to point this one out since I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, and as you may have alluded to, and based on how I'm talking to it, I much prefer Rise of the Snakes to the Fire chapter. And I did a poll on Instagram over which one many other fans prefer, and Rise of the Snakes has an overwhelming majority. Now we have Skybound and Prime Empire. And Prime Empire did copy Skybound in a lot of ways, but they did it a lot better than the Fire chapter did. But still, Skybound, in me and many other fans' opinions, same type of poll over on Instagram, Skybound is a lot better. First of all, they're both J seasons, which obviously is fine because the ninja obviously each have more than one focused season. But when you really get into it, it starts becoming almost pinpoint the same. The villains are oddly specifically similar. They are villains with a weird ponytail from kind of a different dimension. Unagami from the video game dimension, and Nauticon from Ninjago. And what's the most glaring similarity between these two is that it has the same plotline of Jay losing most of his friends as the ninja get picked off one by one to add to the villain's power. In Skybound's case, it was them getting used into the gym blades so Nauticon could use their elemental powers. And in Prime Emperor's case, it was just all of the people in the game being used to add to Unagami's general power. So very similar main plotline there. The stories also focus primarily on Jay and Mia's relationship, which again isn't a bad thing, but it's that everything else is basically the same in the relationship development. Like, they could have extended on it further, but no. It was all the ninja get picked off, and Jay has to rescue Nia in the end, happy reunion in the end, while everybody else just kind of comes back and doesn't really do anything. They could have done it in so many different ways, but they picked almost the same way. And last of all, Jay defeats the villain single-handedly in both seasons. In Skybound, one of the most creative endings was in a fight. He rewound time and undid the whole season. Now, while that in itself is controversial since it undid the whole season from the canon timeline, it was really a smart and creative way to end it and defeat the villain. And in Prime Empire, it was also a really smart and creative way from making this realization that AIs in their world at least are human and have human feelings, and that Jay kind of made him good. As corny as that sounds, I do still believe it works as a story. As I said in the beginning, both of these are good, but Prime Empire did copy Skybound, and Skybound is mostly subjectively better. Now, the other two I just brought up had absolutely ripping off each other. They were almost exactly the same with different aesthetics and just slightly different storytelling. But these, even though they're not as similar, they do still have many of the key plot points which are the same. Tournament of Elements and the Island. So, they're both based on an island, which is something special for Ninjago, since it's usually based on the city, or some of my favorite seasons is based all around, possession and that kind of stuff. Second of all, the premise of the season is that they're going on a rescue mission to save somebody from an unknown fate, because Zane was presumably dead and they had information he was now on the island. And then we had Wu, Clutch, Misako, and the Explorers Club. They had no idea what happened to them on the island. Both of the villains in the seasons have a very similar aesthetic of the cult member kind of thing. They have all these purple things with these tribal headgear made out like a bone-looking thing. And the leader gets most of their power from a staff, which I feel, again, it doesn't really look at the same on the surface. When you look at it, it's basically the same thing. Then we have the quirky sidekick tags along throughout the entire thing, where we have Dareth tagging along when Nia goes to rescue them in Tournament of Elements. Then we have Clutch giving his one-liners and stuff when they find him in the island. We also have the Lloyd has to step in and save the day, which I feel sometimes takes away from the other ninja because it's done so much. It works when it's done a few times, but it's getting a bit repetitive. In Tournament of Elements, when he had to do the final battle and then read the spell thing to send his father away and save everybody, and then the island when he was the only one who wasn't captured. Now, me and many other people think Tournament of Elements is one of the best season in Ninjago, and me, personally, I have mixed feelings about the island, mostly because of how they did Ronin really dirty at the end, but many people think it was really one of the worst seasons. So, this is really a clear downgrade here. Same poll I did on Instagram for the other two. Tournament of Elements absolutely blew the island out of the water. Now, Ninjago, when they repeat things in seasons, it's usually bad. But when they repeat popular characters, it usually works out. So let's take a look at that next. Pythor and Kalmaar are as similar as characters get. They are both purple villains who are a part of an ancient race, and they're some of the last remaining of that race. They are the leaders of this kind of serpentine army. Yes, don't tell me in the comments that the Marae guards aren't technically serpentine. They basically have the same aesthetic and look like them. Their main goal throughout the whole season is to collect these artifacts. In Pythor's case, it was the Fang Blades, and in Kalmaar's case, it's the two amulets. And what is even more strange, if it was just collecting the artifacts, would have been fine, because they're really far apart. But they're collecting the artifacts to awaken an ancient sea serpent to eat and kill everybody, the Great Devourer and Wujira. Now, these seem insanely similar and almost exactly the same. And to put a little cherry on top, they both get eaten by that giant snake at the end. Now, Pythor and Kalmaar, they're both fan-favorite characters with really great character development, and I feel it works. I did a poll on Instagram. It was a lot closer than some of the other polls, as you can see up here, and this is actually a example of them repeating old storylines in a way that works. Rise of the Snakes and Seabound will go down as both fan-favorite seasons, even though their villains have a very similar premise. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to hit my channel logo to subscribe and hit that like button down below. Click one of the cards on screen, I'm sure you'll enjoy it as well. Comment down below what's your favorite season, what's your least favorite season, what quote-unquote copycats worked, and what's didn't. Signing off for now, see you next time.